Hi, we thank you for joining us for another co-creative communication and exchange with one another this morning, this afternoon, this evening of your time, depending on where you are viewing this transmission on your planet. We will begin this Q&A session with a short message. You have just recently had your full moon in the sign of Scorpio. Keep in mind that this full moon has impressed upon it all of the energies that are related to the various phases of the moon as it waxes and wanes. The power of the 28 lunar mansions in their totality is connected to this particular full moon that you have just experienced and are currently experiencing. We remind you, the influence of the full moon lasts about 3 to 4 days after its peak. So this type of amplified lunar energy will remain. The reason for this tremendous power is for a few reasons. The first reason is that your new moon represents in many ways the DNA programming that will gradually express itself as the moon goes from new to full, as it begins to wax. That genetic code, that genetic programming then begins to express itself in various ways, and you would consider the expression of that genetic programming to be the various qualities and energies that the moon utilizes and demonstrates throughout her cycle as she goes from new to full, and again from full back to new. Once the moon has returned to new, a new genetic code on the lunar level, energetically speaking, is engendered, and the process continues once more. So this particular new moon that you experienced on your 8th corresponded, interacted with the phenomenon that you call the solar eclipse. Therefore, that specific program, that specific energy has been impressed upon the moon because it occurred in her new moon phase. Therefore, those eclipse energies have been multiplying and growing as the moon gradually gains additional levels of luminosity. Now that the moon is at its fullest, that solar eclipse energy is now being expressed in a very potent multidimensional way. Keep in mind that your beginning of the new year, January 1st, does not necessarily correspond or correlate with the actual terrestrial year of Gaia. Your new year on the Gaian level technically begins when the zodiacal sign of Aries begins. That's your true new year. So this solar eclipse was your first new moon of this new year. This full moon is the first full moon of your new year. Therefore, it sets the stage. It sets the precedent for the qualities of energies that are going to come, you're going to be accessing as the year continues. And in that way, it's as if this full moon is like the new moon for your current year, in a sense, in that it is that influential. The energies that you imbibe in, the energies that you partake in, the things you focus upon during this time are going to have a very potent flavoring effect. Now, you may find that perhaps on this day you're working, perhaps on this day you're fulfilling obligations, you are engaging your responsibilities, and maybe you don't have a great deal of time for spiritual practice. That's all right. If that's how your life usually is, honor that and stay in that meditative mindset. Hold that spark of joy in your heart that says, success is a natural side effect of me being myself. Hold that spark in your heart that says, I attract abundance. I attract prosperity. I attract higher love simply through being myself. And really feel what it is to be the true self. This is where the phrase know thyself comes in handy. So if you feel you do not know yourself, if you feel you do not have a solid ego as a foundation to stand upon, well, it's an invitation then to get to know yourself. And right now, the powers of Scorpio are incredibly encouraging in relationship to the areas of self-discovery, self-exploration. Scorpio is the sign of alchemy. It is both the eagle in that it ascends to the highest levels possible, and it is also the scorpion. It can crawl into the deepest crevices that Earth has to offer. So you get infinite perspectives above, infinite perspectives below. It is a wonderful time to get to know yourself, to understand yourself, and to relate to yourself in brand new ways that will flavor the quality of energy for your entire year of what you would consider to be 2024 and beyond. Because as we'd said, your new year doesn't really begin January 1st. This year will continue until the restart of the sign of Aries. So there are many things that are moving right now. There are many new patterns that are unfolding. And we are included in this, the Sasanian people. There are many new energies we are accessing. New beings will be coming through this channel that are connected to us, that are connected to the channel spiritual path. We will act in those situations as, you could say, something like telephone operators, where when that being desires to be patched into the call, we are able to do that. We are able to operate in that way. We had described the process to you all before of meta channeling. You will be seeing more of this. This is to be expected. It will also be the case for each of you. You will be able to become consciously more aware of your additional counterparts and oversoul connections through your own evolutionary process and also through the energetic mirroring effect that will take place when we bring some of these additional entities forth. So we thank you for receiving this opening transmission. We are very enthused about it. As we had said, many things are moving, many things are changing in a rather potent, powerful, and auspicious way. So use these fiery energies and watery energies of transformation that Scorpio and your Luna provides you, and you will have the ingredients necessary to bubble the water within your cauldron through bringing that water to a nice simmer, controlling the inner fire within, so the water within you may go from cold to cool to warm. And as the fire below gently simmers the water above, a steam is produced. The steam is a metaphor for the subtlest layers and levels of energy, what is sometimes referred to as original energy. Your original energy connected to your original self. That is the power of alchemy. That is the purpose of alchemy, to consciously dissolve the negative belief systems, the limitations, and the ancestral energies that no longer serve. When we say ancestor energies, we don't just mean your DNA lineage. We mean your soul ancestors, what you would call your past lives, linearly speaking. Alchemy in one lifetime has the ability, if used correctly, to transform all of these things, leading one to the completion of the great work or the completion of what is sometimes referred to in Latin as magnum opus, which is, of course, the destiny of all beings at the highest level. So, for some beings, they spread their awakening and their ascension over multiple lifetimes. For others, they choose to complete it in one. And that is what alchemy allows for. So, we thank you for receiving this. There will be more updates.